Good evening and welcome to the June 9th Rutherford County School Board meeting. Leading our pledge tonight will be Ms. Leslie Duke. Thank you, Ms. Duke. The board invites our audience to join with us in a moment of silence. Tonight we'll be remembering Coach James Faulkner's family. Coach Faulkner died on June 4th. Coach Faulkner is also a retiree from the Rutherford County school system. He began his career in education as a teacher at Las Casas High School and served many years in our county as an educator. Also, our prayers tonight are also with the family of U.S. Marine pilot Captain Jeff Cuss with the Blue Angels, who tragically died last weekend in a crash near Smyrna Airport. It was a shock to our community and our annual air show organizers, and we know it is heartbreaking for the military community, the Blue Angel fans, and Captain Cuss's family and friends. So if you'll join the board in a moment of silence. Thank you, everybody. We will keep those families in our prayers. Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Mr. Holliday and Mr. Estes. Discussion. Of course, we had a work session on Tuesday. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Board members, as we discussed on Tuesday night, we've changed up the format a little bit, and so Mr. Sandvig can represent us at the Commission's Budget and Finance Committee. We're going to move on with financial matters. Mr. Odom.
Okay. The first one under financial matters, 5A, is the building program amendment. The Rutherford County School Board approved a deductive change order of $15,000 to Robert S. Biscayne and Company construction contract for the Blackman Middle School addition and renovation project, and voted to amend this $15,000 to site development for the future Oakland Middle School annex. This changes the contract amount for the construction of Blackman Middle School from $7,062,000 to $7,047,000. Recommend approval. The motion is to reduce the construction budget for Blackman Middle School addition and renovation project and to move this $15,000 to site development for the future Oakland Middle School annex.
Mr. Young.
Second.
And Mr. Holliday. Further discussion.
Under budget again, Mr. Clardy.
Congratulations, sir. We continue to be. Okay. Further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. B.
B is General Purpose School 2015-16 end of the year budget amendments. Number one is miscellaneous amendments within major functions. This amendment reallocates a total of $660,468 in already budgeted non-labor expenditures with major functions to cover anticipated expenditures. The major items are $34,918 for the coordinated school health projects, $100,000 in additional trustees commission, $60,000 in additional custodial supplies, $39,886 for fire extinguishers, and $267,037 in maintenance expenditures reallocated to the applicable object codes. Again, this is a routine annual amendment. Recommend approval. The motion is to amend $660,468 in already budgeted non-labor expenditures in the 2015-16 general purpose school budget to other object codes within the same major functions as presented.
The recommendation? Okay. Chairman Hodge, and I think we'll accept yours, Mr. Estes, as the second. Okay? Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2.
Number 2 is under staff and insurance. This amendment reallocates $442,794 in already budgeted classified staff, $200 in certified staff, and $70,025 in related benefits, and a $2,673 change in medical insurance to the needed staffing lines for a total of $515,692. The major changes are $126,933 reclassifying the coordinated school health director and the head of our nurses to the director supervisor object code to match the state's coding, $80,000 for school clerical staff, primarily for attendance, $200,000 for June custodians. Due to our 10-hour days in June, an additional 8 hours had to be added for all our 12th month staff. Normally, we are able to do the June staffing amendment after the first June hourly payroll. Due to our meeting schedule this year, it is being done based on the May 27th payroll. These amendments are being made to keep us from exceeding the budget in the staffing lines. I might say for the people that's listening to us on TV or in the audience today, you know, we make the budget last year at this time, last May and June of 2015, and as the year goes through, pupil counts change or other line items, and in this case, the state has actually changed line item numbers. So when we have to report it back to them, it has to be in the correct line item numbers. So some of these things we're doing tonight is just simply, it's no new tax money or anything. It's the same thing that's been there. It's just putting it in the right line item number to match what the state requires. So the recommend approval, the motion is to amend $442,794 in already budgeted classified staff, $200 in certified staff, $70,025 in related benefits, and a $2,673 change in medical insurance to the needed staffing lines for a total of $515,692 as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Holliday? And Mr. Young. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 3.
Number 3 is technology and its line item changes, numbering again. This is our routine technology amendment, which moves $160,000 in funding between 71-100 regular instruction and 72-810 central and other. These expenditures are in accordance with the 2015-16 technology budget and are just being moved to the most appropriate line in the budget. Beginning in 2016-17 budget, nearly all of the technology budget will be placed in one place, the state's new 72-250 technology function. Recommend approval. The motion is to amend $160,000 in already budgeted technology funding between 71-100 regular instruction and 72-810 central and other as presented.
Heard the recommendation?
So move.
Mr. Jordan?
Second.
And Mr. Holliday. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 4.
Number 4 is substitute teachers. This is one of our routine amendments which reclassifies $200,088 in already budgeted substitute teacher pay to the proper function code and the object code 369 for certified or 370 for non-certified substitutes. The total GPS budget for substitute teachers is $2,635,935. Recommend approval. The motion is to amend $200,088 in already budgeted substitute teacher pay to the proper function code and the object code 369 for certified or 370 for non-certified substitutes as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Second. And Ms. Moore. Discussion. And we had a work session where most of the heavy lifting was accomplished this week. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. C,
C is Wrigley changes to next year's budget, the 2016-17 capital projects budget. The updated 2016-2017 capital projects budget, which is Fund 177, is funding an additional penny of unshared property tax for a total of 6 pennies. This additional penny, $635,096, has been moved from the general purpose school budget to capital projects budget. All the projects over $100,000 on Mr. Clardy's project list will be funded. $4,090,827 of property tax revenue and $503,694 from account 34685 committed for capital projects have been used to fund the $4,594,521 in expenditures. Recommend approval. The motion is to approve the revised 2016-2017 capital projects budget, Fund 177, with total revenues of $4,090,827, expenditures of $4,594,521, and to use $503,694 from account 34685 committed for capital projects to balance this budget as presented.
the recommendation? Is that Chairman Hodge? Or, no, Mr. Estes? No?
Second.
And Mr. Holliday? Y'all sound alike, yeah. Okay. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. D,
After our meeting with Health and Education and Budget and Finance Committees of the Commission, after that night, there was some line item recommendation change, so that's what these are. Changes to the 2016-2017 general purpose school budget. There are 6 significant changes to the updated 2016-2017 general purpose school budget fund 141. The Commission's Budget Committee has discussed moving 5 pennies from this fund. 1 penny would go to capital projects budget, Fund 177, and 4 pennies would go to the debt service fund for school debt payments. The potential 6 penny will stay in the general purpose school fund for $555,194 in operational maintenance project. And see item 2 below, which I'll read. The $555,000 has been added to the maintenance department budget in order to fund the projects under $100,000 that are on Mr. Clardy's capital projects request. These projects are more operational in nature than capital. His list total $597,500. A separate budget code will be used to track these expenditures. This $555,194 is basically 1 penny of shared property tax, and it's less than a full penny because it's shared with the city share of that. Number 3, the $90,471 in voluntary preschool revenue and the related expenses in the preschool function, $73,400 have been added. Classified retirement rate has been changed from 11.97% to 10.66%, for a net drop of $419,138 in this version. Mr. Sandvik found that the medical insurance needed to be increased by $113,362 for some of the new positions. And 6, after more revenue, some of the software and data processing items in the May 11, 2016 version of the budget have been reclassified in order to be more consistent in coding these expenditures. Recommend approval. The motion is to approve the 2016-2017 general purpose school budget, $340,366,426 as presented.
for the recommendation? Mr. Young? And Chairman Hodge. Further discussion?
Might throw out to the public that this still does not require any tax increase. Most of this funding really was state funding this year, so that's not going to be any issue for us on that. They'll be working on that, and a public hearing on the whole county budget is next Tuesday evening, 7 p.m., I think.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 6.
Mr. Sandvik, the board would be interested in this too. Actually, we had an auditor come today and is finalizing the year and doing, he says, what I'm proud to say, y'all have no audit findings of note this year to do that.
And whose student was he? Remember? Mr. Estes's.
He did tell us that. He said today, I was Mr. Estes' student. He brought that up today. He did a good job. He's now an auditor.
Well, congratulations with no findings.
Yeah, well, that's good for all of us here.
Yeah, very, very well done. Excellent.
Number 6?
Number 6.
Number 6 is something new for us, the Rutherford County Farm to School project. This is an information only. School Nutrition has decided to fund a project at 3 identified schools, Kittrell Elementary School, Stewart's Creek Middle School, and Laverne Lake Elementary School. School Nutrition will purchase wood for the purpose of creating raised garden beds. Oakland High School Ag Ed program has agreed to have the high school students create the garden beds for this project. School Nutrition will deliver the garden beds, furnish the soil, seeds, and miscellaneous items to grow the vegetables. Ag Ed has volunteered to send high school students to the schools to help teach the elementary middle school students how to grow the vegetables. After harvest, we will serve the food grown in the cafeteria to encourage students to eat fresh, healthy, local produce. And we mentioned last night, if they help grow it, they might eat it, even if it is green, leafy vegetable.
That's certainly our hope. Okay. All right, now we're back on track with our normal meeting, approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Mr. Estes, further discussion about the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is approved. Of course, we have a public comment opportunity later on, but did we have any visitors? Okay. Number 9, Mr. Odom.
Number 9 is our spotlight on education night for Atlas, and I'm going to ask Ms. Snell to come to the mic, which means Academic Time Leads to Achieving Students program. And you were not here the night we announced that you received the Hometown Hero Award. So congratulations on receiving that, Ms.
I appreciate it. And Matt, you said there's a clicker up here? Oh, right here, this one. Awesome. Well, I would like to thank you so much for your support. You've always been very supportive of the Atlas program, and I really appreciate it. Everything I've asked for, you've let me have, let me purchase, let me hire, and so it means a lot to have that support. Atlas is the Rutherford County Schools Program for Families in Transition. It is an acronym that stands for Academic Time Leads to Achieving Students. The McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act is a federal law that requires every school system to have a liaison for homeless education and to identify homeless students. And they do have certain rights under the law, and Atlas is how we ensure compliance with McKinney-Vento. It was recently reauthorized under the Every Student Succeeds Act of 2015. Best practices were written into law, and I will be highlighting some of those in some upcoming slides tonight. The definition under McKinney-Vento of homeless children is those who lack a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. They may be sharing the housing of others due to loss of housing, economic hardship, or a similar reason. 77% of our Atlas students qualify as doubled up. They may be living in motels or campgrounds due to lack of adequate alternative accommodations, and 17% of our Rutherford County Atlas students are living in motels or campgrounds. In emergency or transitional shelters, we only had 5%. This is low compared to nationwide because we just don't have a lot of shelters in Rutherford County. They may be awaiting foster care placement. This has been a controversial part of the definition for many years and is being removed from the definition of homeless as of December 2016. We only had 1% of our Atlas students who were identified as awaiting foster care placement. They may be living in a public or private place not designed for humans to live, and we had 5 of those. Also, students who qualify as homeless and are not in the physical custody of a legal guardian are considered homeless unaccompanied youth. 20% of our Atlas students qualified as unaccompanied youth. They're not all in high school. They can be in any grade. This shows just the last 10 years of how our Atlas program has grown, and you may ask why. There are a lot of reasons for that, but one is the growth of Rutherford County. I mean, if you look at how our numbers have grown, how many schools have we opened in the last 10 years? Another is better identification, and another is even though the economy is improving and there are jobs, people come here for those jobs. They may not qualify for those jobs. They may not have a support system when they come. I remember one family that we had that came this year. The mother got a job at Amazon. They came from Sumner County. They were living in Crestwood Suites until she could get on with Amazon long enough to make enough money to get their own place. Well, after Christmas, her hours were cut, and she was working nights. So when they had to leave Crestwood Suites because they could no longer afford it and were looking for a shelter, she had a 14-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter. There's not a place that I know of in America, a shelter where you can leave your 14-year-old son and your 16-year-old daughter while you're working overnight. We worked with her with Journey Home and through our schools and a lot of different, they ended up in another motel for a little while. She ended up losing her job and they went back to Sumner County. But those are the kinds of situations you think we've got great jobs with Amazon or Nissan, they're still working nights. And if you're a single parent, that doesn't work for you. So who are they? This year we had 130 seniors. We had 127 freshmen. You can imagine the schools with the largest Atlas populations were our high schools. We also had 110 in the 7th grade. But our potential, and I think if we go back here, this year we ended with 1267. Our potential would be 10% of the number of children that we have on free or reduced lunch, which would be 1,900. So we are not over-identifying Atlas students. I've had that question a few times. How do we help them in Rutherford County schools? They recently added to the law that we need to provide services to support the identification, and we've been providing services to support the enrollment, attendance, and academic success of homeless children. We use a student residency questionnaire that's given to everyone when they enroll their child. Every school has an Atlas contact person. All school faculties receive annual training, and we have posters and brochures that are in all of our schools, as well as places in the community where families go to receive services. I also serve on a number of organizations in the community. You mentioned the Child Advocacy Center. I'm on the board of that. That's where the Hometown Hero Award came from. Also, the Homeless Alliance of Rutherford County, and all of these others that you see. I do this so that we can bring awareness of the homelessness in the community to these organizations, many of whom can provide services. There's a strong correlation between drug abuse and homelessness, and CADCOR does that. There's a strong correlation between child abuse and homelessness, and Child Advocacy Center addresses that. There's a strong correlation between a lack of literacy and homelessness, and Read to Succeed offers that. And then, of course, UT Extension is all about feeding families and providing those services. So that's why I'm so active in those organizations. We also do a lot of training of faculties on homelessness and poverty. We do a poverty simulation, which is an experiential activity in which the participants survive a month in poverty. Not only is it a powerful hands-on staff development, but it involves the community. I invited anyone who has participated as one of my volunteers for a poverty simulation to come here tonight, and I have a few people here. If you have volunteered at a poverty simulation in the past, please stand so that we can thank you for that. You can see what schools have already had poverty simulations. Our next one is scheduled at Thurman Francis, and then we have our first large high school poverty simulation at Siegel in September on the early dismissal day. I'm very excited about that. I also do a couple of other in-service activities. There's Jonathan's Heart, which is a 2-hour in-service. We're doing that at Kittrell in August, and I did it at Rockvale last year. And then I've recently purchased a couple of books. I've recently read these 2 books and decided that they would make good book studies for in-service credit. $2 a Day, Living on Almost Nothing in America, and then Teaching with Poverty in Mind. So I'll be leading those book studies for our personnel, anyone who wants to sign up for that. One of the main things that we do to support the attendance and enrollment of homeless children is transportation. This is what the law has said, that they can enroll in any public school that students living in that area are eligible to attend. So that means their school of zone or remain in their school of origin. And the old language of the law said we should keep homeless students in their school of origin to the extent feasible. The new language says that we must now presume that staying in their school of origin is in the child's best interest unless it is against the wishes of the parent or guardian or youth, in the case of an unaccompanied youth, and we must give priority to the wishes of the parent, guardian, or unaccompanied youth. And another big change to the law is that receiving schools will now be included in the definition of school of origin for feeder school patterns. So moving from elementary to middle to high school, that child can, if the homelessness continues over that summer into the next year, they can attend what would have been their school had they remained in their previous home. That's a big change for us. We do have a dedicated person. Wanda Barnett handles almost all of our Atlas transportation requests, and this year we arranged out-of-zone transportation for 300 Atlas students to remain in their schools of origin, and many of these students moved several times during the school year. If we can't arrange bus transportation, we'll offer gas reimbursement to enable students to stay in their school of origin. We did this year with a young lady from Eagleville. She needed to go to work. Bus transportation wasn't an option for her because she needed to have her car at school so she could go to work. So we provided gas reimbursement for her to be able to stay in her school of origin and still be able to get to work. Meeting basic needs, there are many things that we do. We provide school supplies, homework supplies, special project supplies, hygiene supplies, school clothing. We can't provide anything that can be provided through other means when you're using federal funds. That would be supplanting. So we have to wait until the Rutherford County Clothing Fund is depleted. Some people think that we should go ahead and pay for the Atlas students' clothing and let them cover everybody else, but that would be supplanting. And with federal funds, we're not allowed to do that. This year we have actually, as of today, 155 students participating in summer camp through the Boys and Girls Club so that they have a safe place for the summer and they have a place where they can eat and enjoy activities and they're not roaming the streets. Now, we have many, many community partners that help us meet the basic needs of Atlas students. I'm about to do something very dangerous. And that is, I'm going to start naming organizations that have helped us. When you do this, there's a risk of missing somebody. But what I would like is when I name your organization, if you would please stand and remain standing until we've gone through the whole list, then we would like to show our appreciation to you. Many things they provide, whether it's sports and mentoring program, weekend food, birthday parties, shelter, school supplies, so forth. Barnabas Vision, Candle Wishes, Central Christian Church, Endure Athletics, Fellowship United Methodist Church, First United Methodist Laverne, First United Methodist Murfreesboro, New Life Sunday School Class and Amen Men's Group, First United Methodist Smyrna, Sunshine Circle, Hope Fellowship, Jesus Extended Hand, Kingwood Church of Christ, Las Casas Church of Christ, Life Point Church, McFadden School of Excellence, Mercy Street Church, Midland Baptist Church, Mount Vernon Cumberland Presbyterian Church, Murfreesboro Lioness Club, North Boulevard Church of Christ West, and Smyrna Laverne campuses, Northside Baptist, Nancy Gonzalez's Sunday School Class, Providence Baptist Church, River of Life Church, Riverdale Key Club. They gave us more toothbrushes than our entire school system could use for the next 3 years. The Rutherford County Retired Teachers, the Rutherford County School Central Office Departments that adopt families for Christmas, Smyrna Heart of Grace, Smyrna Laverne Food Bank, the Snyder Foundation, St. Elizabeth Orthodox Church, St. Rose Catholic Church, and Stepping Stones Safe Haven. Thank you so much for being here. We also have, like I mentioned, Atlas contacts at the schools. If there are any Atlas contacts from the schools here, I would like for you to stand. They go above and beyond. They help our students in so many ways. They provide referrals and many other things. It's whether they're teachers, graduation coaches, or school counselors, they do a wonderful job. Thank you, Tammy. And I would like to recognize and introduce my new assistant that you approved me hiring in October, Debbie Mankin. She is not only an assistant, she is a certified school counselor. She has taught in Rutherford County Schools and at Middle Tennessee Christian and was the junior high and high school counselor at Middle Tennessee Christian School. She likes to work part-time so she can help take care of her grandchildren. So I am so lucky that she wants to do that because she is not only my assistant, she's my friend, my confidant, my event planner, my volunteer coordinator, and many other things. Thank you so much, Debbie. And this year we have created the Atlas Advisory Council, and I'm so excited about this because we have a non-Title I elementary school represented, a Title I elementary school represented, a middle school, a high school, an alternative school, and then our 2 Title I Atlas advocates. I know we have a few members of the Atlas Advisory Council here, so if you will stand. And Cindy, thank you. And then supporting academic success. Title I monitors the academic progress of Atlas students in all of our 46 schools and provides academic support to Atlas students. And these ladies also serve on the Atlas Advisory Council. Thank you, Cindy, and Joyce Edie, who's not here. They provide such a great service to our Atlas students, just the academic support to encourage them to come to school. Now they're working with middle and high schools. They used to do pull-out academic support for our non-Title I elementary schools because McKinney-Vento says that all homeless children are entitled to Title I services, whether they're in a Title I school or not. So they used to do that, but now that we have this wonderful RTI and PLC programs that we have in place for all of our students, they're not needed in elementary schools anymore. So they focus on the middle and high schools, and they provide that academic support to say, you can do it, what's going on, why aren't you getting your homework done, why aren't you coming to school, whatever the student needs, and working with the teacher to say, you know what, he doesn't really have a place. Can we work out a place and a time for him to get this homework done at school? Because when he gets to this other place where they're living, there might be 8 adults and 6 children living in that house, and there's not a quiet time, there's not a space. He has to wait till all the adults have gone to bed before he can sleep on the couch or on the kitchen floor. And so they just provide that great academic support. And the last thing that I really want to highlight is supporting emotional and social success. I want to read an email because I pay out of the McKinney-Vento subgrant for a STARS counselor to work system-wide with our students. And this is an email from one of our elementary school counselors. I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you for helping to make it possible for us to have a STARS counselor work with our Atlas students this year. We've really enjoyed working with her, and she's been a great resource for our Atlas students. She's so good at building rapport with the students, and they seem to know she genuinely cares about them. It's been wonderful having a bonus counselor who's able to check in with our high-needs Atlas students on a regular basis. This is something I wish I could do more often, but sometimes other job responsibilities get in the way. It's also great that Ms. Carr, actually it's Connolly, works with the entire county because she's been able to work with siblings of some of our students who are in middle or high school. We also had a couple of families move during the year, and it was wonderful to know that she would be able to continue seeing them at their new schools. Earlier in the year, 2 of our Atlas students were removed from their home, placed into foster care, and enrolled in a school on the other side of the county. This was a very sad situation, but it helps to know that these kids have had at least one consistent adult in their lives this year who cares about them. I'm very thankful to the Atlas program, STARS Nashville, and Mrs. Carr Connolly for making that possible. So at this time, I want to let Jeannie Carr Connolly come and talk to you a little bit about some of the kids that she's worked with so that you can hear some of those stories.
thank you guys for approving for Kim to have a STARS counselor. I've been with STARS coming up will be my 18th school year working with STARS. So been doing it a while and worked in Davidson County, Williamson County, and for years in Rutherford County. I do love my job, but this year's been different for me. And the past 2 years, I guess this will be my 4th year working with the Atlas program. It's taught me a lot, humbled me quite a bit to be able to work with these students. But I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what I get to do. And Kim kind of gave you the overview, but on a personal level, the kids that I get to work with, I'm only 2 days a week. So those numbers up there for 2 days a week is difficult some weeks, and I don't get to all the students that I would like to see. So it up there, I saw, over 28 kids and 12 different schools. So 2 days a week, I'm going from, I had some at Kittrell, some at Rockville, some at Roy Waldron. We have a big county. It's really large when you're trying to travel around. And last year, I even had a student at Eagleville. So when you're traveling from, Laverne to Eagleville, that takes a good portion of your day. So we could use more days. I'm going to throw that out there for just because there are kids I can't get to on some days. And sometimes I think, oh gosh, they don't even, it'll be fine if I don't get there this week. I need to get to this kid. But inevitably, when I get back to that school the next week, the student says, where were you last week? I was waiting on you all day on Tuesday. You come on Tuesdays. And so then it's like, okay, I have to retrain myself. I've got to get to those kids. But it is difficult with 2 days a week doing that. I just want to tell you about one on transportation. When she mentioned that, we had some students that transferred from Stewartsboro to Stewarts Creek this year. And I am able to follow those students. As long as they stay in Rutherford County, I can find out where they're going and I can transition with them so that they have one adult that they see on a consistent basis. And that is the good part of it. But they were getting up at 4:30 in the morning because they had transportation and they were zoned for Stewarts Creek, but they needed to stay. They had been at Stewartsboro for a while. Got up at 4:30 in the morning to catch the bus early. We're talking elementary school kids here, a 1st grader and a 4th grader. And rode the bus. They had to ride it the whole time. And then they got on the bus. They didn't get home till 5:30 in the afternoon because they're last to get dropped off. So that's a long day for some kids. So I ended up talking with the grandmother. We got them back to Stewarts Creek because I assured her I would see them, I would check on them. It would be a fine transition. And they've done great. So I see them there. The students that she was talking about, they were taken out of their home, and I see them out at Kittrell. Thank goodness they were put in a foster care system here in Rutherford County. Many times they're sent to Davidson County or other counties, and then I'm not able to see them. But I do go see them once a week as well. They've actually changed foster homes at the last week of school, actually, so they are still in Rutherford County, so I'll kind of see in August where they are. And it won't change till December. Hopefully they get back in their home before December because it will make me very sad if I can't see them once that new law goes into effect. Another set of students that I've worked with for the past couple of years, they were dropped off by their mother. And this is just a personal story. They were dropped off by their mother 2 years ago in the summer and with a friend. And she left a note. Their dad's in prison, and this was a 1st grader and a 3rd grader at the time. And that lady actually put them with someone else that was just a friend. They did know her, but was with another friend. They, this school year, were put with someone else that they didn't know, but it was someone their dad knew and kind of hooked them up from prison. And they still have not seen their mom, no contact with her, but these are 2 young girls that I've gotten to see once a week, to talk with them, to mentor to them, to make sure they're okay. And they actually got transferred out of our county to another home at the end of school year. So they're actually in Hickman County. So I have reached out to those counselors just to say, hey, how are my girls doing? And just to make sure that they're okay where they are. And those counselors reassured me that they were. So I feel good about that. There's another brother and sister that I'm thinking about that I see, but because I've seen them for the past 3 years. And they started out, I saw them at Las Casas. And I didn't see the brother. He was at Oakland at the time, but I saw the sister. She was in 5th grade at Las Casas. Then she went to 6th grade at Oakland. This past year, she was in 7th grade at Rockville. Next year, she will be in 8th grade at Whitworth Buchanan. So she has changed schools each year. That's hard on a child, especially in middle school. I have a 13-year-old son, so I know what middle school is about and how hard that transition is, and just to imagine, they have probably lived maybe 5 different places since Christmas because they move when mom moves. If she changes who she's with, then she changes where she's living. I saw them at the end of school this year, and they wanted clothes because their clothes were in Grandma's car because that's where Mom put them when she decided to move out of they were living in a motel at the last point. But their clothes were in Grandma's car. Well, Grandma's car got repossessed, so all their clothes were in Grandma's car. So we went and got clothes for them because that's what they needed, and I can't not do that if they need it. But this, the young man, we also, 2 students that we got braces. So I love my job, but we got braces for 2 students this year. There is a orthodontist in town in Murfreesboro. It's Dr. DiCiro. I will put his name out there because he went to every middle school in Murfreesboro and gave a scholarship to those schools for a free set of braces for these students. And just said, find a student. And the principals actually told him about the Atlas program. So some of them were Atlas students that possibly got them, but I just happened to work with this student at Rockville, and that counselor and I decided he was a candidate for this. So I took him to the orthodontist. We took him to a dentist that did the work for free to give him a cleaning because we didn't know when he had had a cleaning last. So he has a set of braces on now. This same I had a student in Smyrna, and she asked me, I said, do you need anything, baby? Can I get you anything? What do you need from me? And she said, can you get me braces? And I had just found out about Dr. DiCiro doing this, but he didn't offer it in Smyrna because he's in Murfreesboro. My son actually has braces and happens to go to this orthodontist. I'm thankful now that I'm giving him my money. But I asked him at Cade's next appointment, can you give me another one for a child in Smyrna? And he said, absolutely. So I took it back to her, and she now has braces. But I'm able to pick them up and take them to these appointments. That particular young lady is in foster care, but she's living with her 20-year-old brother who works nights at Nissan, what she was talking about. So she's home alone. She's a 7th grader. She's going into 8th grade, but she was pulled from Whitworth Buchanan to a school to Smyrna Middle, and she's at home at night by herself because her brother works at nights, and that was the only place that was stable for her to be. So just the fact that we're able to do those extra things for the students is very beneficial. It's more than just a job. It's being able to help them change their lives and give them something that they wouldn't have before. So is there anything else that you can think of? That I know Kim said I had to limit my time, and it's really hard when I start talking about these students to be able to limit my time. But I appreciate you guys giving me this time, and I appreciate the money that we're able to get and you guys approving this program because it really means a lot to the students that I work with and to me. So thank you.
I hope you see the benefit of having a STARS counselor for our Atlas students. I think this is one of the most wonderful things we do. And I just wanted to give you some websites if you need any more information about the changes to McKinney-Vento under the new reauthorization, or if you have any questions for me. I'm off now until July 18th, and that day I will be training the attendance specialist, but I'll be back in the office on the 19th, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. I will not be available during the summer. My Australian daughter and grandchildren are coming for an entire month, and I will be out of commission. But thank you very much for your support of the Atlas program. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Thanks, Matt.
Well, there's no doubt that that there are big hearts here in Rutherford County, and God bless you for your effort and all of these stakeholders contributing and taking care of our children. So again, God bless you and thank you so much.
Some nights you can go home feeling really good
Well,
about
I
what
tell
you do.
you, this is certainly a talk that we needed to hear, and I can tell by looking at everybody in this audience that we're all moved. So thank you. Okay, number 10.
Number 10, Mr. Trey Duke's going to come up, and I asked him to share your response to intervention program that was started, is 3 years complete now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, again, a report to you, how it's going. You know, the state mandated to do it. We were one of the first to do it, and it moved on through. So, Mr. Duke, share some of the statistics
Thank
for
you.
this year.
And
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you're having to follow.
I know, no pressure, right? I feel like I have some great news to share with you, as Ms. Snell said, about what you guys have funded and what you've allowed us to do in this district and the results we're seeing from it. We're seeing great things. This is my third year in this position. It's actually our one small correction, second full year of implementation with RTI, and of course next year we go into the high schools officially, which I'm excited about, even though we've done some stuff this year as well. So after 2 full years of implementation, I sent a quick survey out to every administrator in the district, every RTI coach, which was a position you guys has funded, our interventionist, our school psychologists, because they work very, very closely with our RTI program, and then also about 120 classroom teachers. And I asked them a couple questions. I pulled 4 questions. I want to go over the response for you. Full disclosure, I didn't ask anyone to do the survey. I just sent it out for my own personal knowledge and to better improve our program here at the district. I was pleased with the responses, and that's why, of course, I wanted to share them with Mr. Odom, with you guys as well. So just, again, we had 294 people complete it, 54 administrators, 122 classroom teachers, 72 interventionists, 37 of the RTI coaches, and 9 psychologists. So a good number of reply. The majority of those were elementary, but considering the number of elementary schools, that's not surprising. And you're going to see numbers that quickly go over the graphs with you. So I asked them to respond anywhere from strongly agree to strongly disagree. And on the graphs, you're going to see those represented on a 5 to 1. So 5 is strongly agree, all the way down to 1 being strongly disagree. Okay. The first question I asked was, does having interventionists in your building impact the school's ability to offer those tiered services to our most at-risk students? And does it free up classroom time for teachers to work on standard-based intervention? And I was really, again, great. I specifically want to point at the administrators. 98% of our administrators, with 87 of those being strongly agree, but 98% of our admins are saying, yes, the interventionists that we've put in our building are not only helping our most at-risk kids, but they're freeing up that classroom time for those kids who aren't in that bottom 25%, those that we have a saying in our department that whether you're 1 question away from proficiency, 1 question away from advanced, or in the bottom 25%, we owe you an intervention to move you to the next level. So having the interventionist frees up the time for those classroom teachers to say, hey, that student who just is right on that cusp of proficiency, let me work with him and get him over that hump as well. So 98% of our administrators agreed with that. I wanted to ask a question directly about the RTI coach. And I said, does the RTI coach in your building work to ensure all students are provided with timely interventions to improve student achievement? Again, really excited. Again, 98% of the administrators were strongly agree and agreed to that. There's the numbers for all of the teachers, but again, you can tell by the graph, overwhelmingly, what we're seeing is our coaches are really being utilized not just to help with our most at-risk student, but to improve the teacher instruction going on in Tier 1, and then therefore make a difference for every student. Students not in Tier 2 or Tier 3, so again, those are our most at risk, they benefit from standards-based intervention time. So just to kind of talk about this quickly, we really focus on what we call skills achievement in Tier 2 and Tier 3. And for our kids who are not yet proficient but aren't multiple years behind, we work on that grade level remediation. And our focus this year has been moving more toward that, away from skills as improving achievement. And again, 80% of our teachers agree or strongly agree with us. 80% is still a good solid number. It was the lowest number in my survey, so that's definitely an area we want to continue to improve on next year, even though I think we would say agree that 80% is still a good strong number of agrees. And finally, this is the last question. Do the students in my building benefit from the RTI model and from implementation? And I was really interested in this because, again, now we're 2 years in. We've done this. We've worked out a lot of the kinks. And as you can see, 94% of everyone that participated say, yes, the students in my building are benefiting from this RTI model implementation, which to me just goes to show the work that our coaches and interventionists are doing is making a difference in our kids' lives, And the principals especially who have that school-wide perspective, I get comments all the time about, I don't know what I did before I had my RTI academic coach in this building. I don't know how we got this job done. So we appreciate your support. Finally, I just wanted to share with you, I could have listed a lot. I'm going to quickly go over 4 very quick quotes. I left a place for comments, and I pulled 4 principals or assistant principals. I didn't ask for names. I just asked them to choose what their role was, and I said, a place for them to leave a comment at the end of the survey. And I'm going to share a couple with you. The first one says, our RTI coaches and interventionists are the very best. They are some of the hardest working people in our building, and their collaboration with each other and with classroom teachers results in truly intentional, effective interventions for our struggling learners. I'm especially impressed with the ways that our RTI coaches are able to support students and teachers beyond tiered interventions, modeling lessons, planning support, new teacher mentoring, parent training, conferences, etc. And I've said our coaches are some of the hardest working people in this district because, again, their job description is not just Tier 3 kids, but it's also every new teacher in their building to make sure they're successful, training parents, helping new teachers with conferences, and modeling lessons for struggling teachers, and so that was really exciting to read. Another second one, it says, I'm so happy with our RTI program. I believe that it's because of this program that our students are experiencing so much success in the Tier 1 classroom. That's actually from a middle school principal, which made me really excited to see. To see that even not out of elementary, that we're seeing when we dedicate this time and we dedicate the personnel for our most at risk, our classroom teachers are having a bigger impact on all students, not just those ones that are in tiered interventions. Another administrator, RTI has made the difference in the lives of our students. They have embraced the success it brings to them and the small group individual attention that they get. And finally, a last one, and again, I wish I knew who sent this in, but I don't. The RTI program, as set up in Rutherford County and within my building, has impacted student learning and closure of learning gaps more than any other initiative I've experienced in my 20-plus years of education. Thank you for providing RTI coaches, interventionists, and a structured program. Again, I'm pretty passionate about the program, but it's really the coaches in our building and the principals that support those coaches and those interventionists that get the job done. They didn't know, again, what I was doing with the survey, so these were totally unsolicited comments, but I think it speaks to what can happen in a school building and what can happen for kids when we really target our interventions and when we target our help and then when we fund the positions needed to move students. So on behalf of all of my team, thank you very much, and we're excited about the results.
One of Mr. Duke's issue is these coaches are so involved with teachers and the principals are seeing them do these interventions and work with students that principals are snapping them up to be assistant principals in their building. Our pool of the fastest growing, I guess, assistant principals are your RTI coaches.
And that's good. Like I said, we're happy. I'm glad for them because they work very hard and they deserve that additional leadership role. So.
When school board members get together, sometimes there's conversation about RTI, and the thing that we hear elsewhere in the state is the lack of coordination from administrators and the RTI program, and where the RTI program is taking over club activity time or extracurricular activity times or recess times or things of that nature. One of the things that I think is very worthy of compliment in our program is that our administrators, and through your leadership, have been very dedicated to maintaining all of those experiences for the student, and in addition to that, carving out that time for the intervention and making that progress. You've brought to us before school hours intervention time and coordinated with lunchroom time and all of the various ways which we're being flexible to make this happen, and my compliments in that regard.
Thank you. Yeah, and again, our principals make it work, and I think it was a really natural progression for us in Rutherford County because Mr. Odom and Mr. Zago have worked so hard with the PLCs over the years. So again, we always sell it as this is the next step in our PLC process, and so again, being able to structure a program and having that good solid plan and the personnel to support it, our principals are more than happy to work through this with us. So.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
number 11.
Number 11 is transportation. This is the GPS AVL systems for transportation. The 2016-2017 general purpose school transportation budget includes funding for the GPS AVL systems from Education Logics, Inc. and the related communication service from Verizon Wireless. The Transportation Department is requesting approval contingent upon funding for the 2016-2017 GPS budget for the GPS AVL systems from Education Logistics Incorporated on NCPA contract number 5-03 at a cost of $186,839 for the first year, with a recurring cost of $41,634 annually, and approval of the communication service for the GPS systems from Verizon Wireless on GSA contract GS 35F-0119P at a cost of $21,588 annually. Recommend approval of the motion to approve purchasing GPS AVL systems from Education Logistics Incorporated on NCPA contract 0503 and communication services for the GPS systems from Verizon Wireless on GSA contract GS 35F-0119P, contingent on funding in the 2016-2017 GPS budget.
So moved.
Mr. Holliday? And Mr. Young, further discussion?
If Verizon offers NASCAR-style logos that we can put on the buses, now that we're running with Verizon on board, I think we ought to take advantage of that.
You're pushing your luck.
Not exactly the discussion I was looking for. Anyone else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. B.
B is the 2016-2017 the bus contractor list. Pursuant to policy 3.405 bus contract award procedures, the new contractor list for the 2016-2017 school year are presented. These two lists, first priority is the regular bus drivers who have driven for 2 full school years, and second priority, those who currently own 1 or more contracts, are for approval in order to facilitate the awarding of new bus contracts on a timely basis for the beginning of the new school year and thereafter as contracts are turned into the Transportation Department throughout the year. Recommend approval. The motion is to approve the following potential first and second priority bus contractor list for the 2016-2017 school year. We looked at the names the other night. Do you want to?
Board members, is there any need to read since they're on the screen behind us? Say that would be a no. So you've made the recommendation. You've heard the recommendation. Mr. Young? Chairman Hodge, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So our list, Ms. Snell, I'm still really surprised at the first priority list. I just didn't think there'd be that many names. So I'm not surprised at the second one, but the first one did surprise me. So, okay, number 12, Mr. Holliday.
Thank you. In months previous, the board generously gave me the opportunity to put together a committee to look at the Fine Arts Coordinator position and bring back that report tonight. As board members, one of the things that we do is we reflect the priorities and the performance of the school system, and the things that are brought to us, like the Atlas program this evening, are some of the things that we can share with the community as we are the promoters and the ambassadors of our school system for the people that we interact with. Likewise, I took the opportunity in this committee, which Ms. Lisa Moore joined me in, and we brought together some context for a coordinated effort in fine arts. Also participating in that committee was Jonathan Griffith from Oakland High School as a visual arts perspective, Brenda Williams from Riverdale High School from a choral perspective, as well as Brenda Gregory from Siegel High School. Sherry Febles from Blackman and from the Dramatic Arts, as well as Donald Fan from Stewart's Creek. David England from Blackman Middle School, and Richard Lutz from Smyrna High School brought middle school and high school band perspectives. Our athletic director, Tim Tackett, who currently serves in a part-time position similar to the way this one will be put together, served on the committee as well. And finally, our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Ms. Paula Barnes, and her help was invaluable. I wanted to share with you in tab 4, we see the proposed job description that we have offered to the director. It's his job description, not ours. This is just a report, not a recommendation for the board. But a couple of things that came out of this is in the position description, we were able to discuss the placement of this position as a coordinator. That puts it in the organizational structure of our central office right underneath an assistant superintendent. It's inappropriate for this position to be any higher, but it's notable that it is in that position of very strong influence. We also talked about the emphasis on local media coverage and the opportunity for this position to help promote the arts in Rutherford County through Mr. James Evans and the new position that is being created in his department as they continue to help us in media coverage. One of the comments in the committee was we see sports coverage, even high school sports coverage or scholastic sports coverage every single day in Rutherford County. How often do we see coverage of the fine arts? And we certainly have an equivalent participation in the arts, and we hope to offer to our media partners more content so that we would be able to see that kind of coverage and celebration of the arts. One of the ways we'll do that is with a calendar of upcoming events. We discussed that, the arts, there's not always a winner and a loser. It's a performance, and the right way to celebrate that performance may be to anticipate it rather than to cover the fact that it occurred. Whether or not it was a championship performance is always subjective, but whether or not it was worth your attendance, that's something that if we give you notice, you could come and be a part of that. So we also looked at lesson plans and instructional activities and an influence there. There are a lot of times where the arts are asked to incorporate academic subjects or maybe even athletic activity into their programs. And we discussed in this committee how nice it would be for this position to represent a perspective that the arts would invade the academic classrooms or even invade the locker rooms. And that is a goal as well. And then directly from the committee, we had serve as an advisor for the area of fine arts when developing plans for new or remodeled school buildings. This was very important to the education, the teachers that were represented, that there are certain facilities that will really help them. We're always good to ask for that input, but to have that central office collection point of that information, we believe will assist our engineering department as well. In qualifications, I want to highlight this to the board because it is a little bit different. We take great pride, and by we, the board can take great confidence in the fact that our central office staff insist that those who will have supervision duty also have supervisor training. And that shows itself with the requirement of a postgraduate degree and endorsement in administration and supervision or something of that nature. That's a requirement in every other coordinator job description in our county. They have some type of training in supervising other people. Uniquely in this position, because fine arts perspective people are not generally tending in the direction of administration and supervision. We did tweak the language there slightly to that we would prefer a postgraduate degree and endorsement in administration and supervision, or related fine arts training. So that was something that was very, very important to the teachers, that we may not always find someone that has an assistant principal or principal credentials or experience rising into this position, and it may be someone that has an equivalent amount of supervisor training, but we always want to make sure that those who are supervising in Rutherford County are trained to do so, so that our Human Resources Department continues with great confidence. That's my report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Holliday. Ms. Moore, anything that you would like to add?
I don't think that Mr. Holliday hasn't already covered, so.
Mr. Holliday, Ms. Moore, and Ms. Barnes, again, thank you for serving on this committee. Yeah. Board members, questions for Mr. Holliday or Ms. Moore? Mr. Odom and I attended meetings also, and there was quite a bit of conversation, and
They were televised, I think.
they were, I forgot, they were televised, so certainly can go back on RCTV and review. Again, thank you, Mr. Holliday, Ms. Moore. Okay, number 13, the new and revised policies. Do we want to leave F out?
We will. I'll read that and leave that for
And then we'll
come back.
Okay. Do you want to approve the first set and then come back and approve
I'll do that. I'll
by
read them.
itself?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I could, I would like to ask the board for unanimous consent that because of the unique nature of these policies and our need to get them into the student handbook, that we would waive the second reading and allow these to be adopted with a single vote tonight, if we could, if it be the chair's will.
And
We actually put it in the motion.
we
Oh,
actually-
okay.
We actually have that, so thank you. Well, that's on down the line. So
All right.
you hadn't gotten there yet, but thank you. Yes, sir. We'd like to do that. Mr. Odom, if you'll go ahead.
Okay, and many of these are changes, legislative changes this year required to be included for the 16-17 school year, and we put it in the student handbook that goes home to parents and students, and so that's the need for us to get them printed before school starts. You met last night with the policy committee. You want to talk about your policy committee? It's not just school people, but you've got other people involved in your community, all that.
We have a principal. We also have a central office supervisor. We have two citizen at large. Of course, Ms. McLeod and Mr. Reed and some other maintenance employees and two classroom teachers. So it's a pretty broad committee without naming everybody.
Okay, so the policies, first one is policy 3.500, which is in school nutrition management. Purpose of this revision, the policy has been updated to allow students to charge meals without limitation if they do not have adequate funds on account or in hand. Charge notification will be sent home weekly from school nutrition managers. Children who have inadequate funds will receive the regular reimbursable meal offered that day. You may just read the ones through and we'll come back if you want to. Then policy 1.407 is the school board records. The purpose of this revision, the policy was updated to address new changes to the Tennessee Public Records Act. The new law requires districts to incorporate additional information in their records policies and to identify positions within the district that are responsible for handling open records requests. Policy 3.202, Emergency Preparedness Plan. The purpose of this revision, the policy has been updated to address the new requirement to conduct a CPR and AED drill in schools that have an AED automated external defibrillator. The new law requires schools to perform an annual drill for employees and students to ensure they are aware of the steps that will be taken in the event of a medical emergency. Policy 4.605 is graduation requirements. The policy was updated to reflect changes in Tennessee Code Annotated 49-6, 6001. which currently requires students to take the ACT suite of assessment in grades 8, 10, and 11. The new law removes the testing requirements in grades 8 and 10 and allows students to retake the ACT if funds are available. E is policy 4.700 testing programs. The purpose of this revision is the policy was updated to reflect a change in the ability of parents to access questions and answers on their students' state-required test. The new law requires districts to publicly disseminate how parents can access their students' questions and answers. We'll skip F and go to G. G is policy 6.304, student discrimination, bullying, and intimidation. The purpose of this revision, the policy was updated to reflect legal requirements for bullying investigation. Once a bullying report is received, the district must initiate the investigation within 48 hours and complete the investigation within 20 calendar days unless appropriate documentation can be produced justifying a longer investigation period. The law also requires districts to immediately notify the parents or legal guardians of a student involved in an act of discrimination, bullying, or intimidation. H is policy 6.411, student wellness. The purpose of this revision, the policy was updated to reflect the requirement for new physical activity standards. Students in grades K through 6 are required to receive certain periods of non-structured physical activity per day, while students in grades 7 through 12 are required to receive 90 minutes of physical activity per week. And policy 6.415, suicide prevention. The purpose of this adoption, the policy was created due to the enactment of Public Chapter 623. The new law requires all employees of the school district to attend the annual in-service training on suicide prevention. The committee added a requirement that schools compile information related to suicide threats during the school year, which require implementation of this policy. The policy must also include procedures for relating to suicide prevention and intervention prevention. The first motion here, the policy we'll consider tonight, is a motion to waive the second reading, second meeting limitation to allow the board to take immediate action on the policies presented.
Recommendation? Mr. Young?
Second.
Mr. Holliday? Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
The second motion, and we'll leave one out until we have the public hearing, the recommend approval. The motion is to approve policies 3.500, 1.407, 3.202, 4.605, 4.700, 6.304, and 6.411, and the adoption of policy 6.415 as recommended by the policy committee.
Heard the recommendation?
So moved.
Mr. Jordan? Mr. Estes? Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we move to the,
Yes, the 14, let me read the policy, and I think we should be able to display it on the screen. This is a new policy this year that the legislature told us to enact, every school district. So Mr. Matt will be putting that up for us on the screen. And the purpose of policy 4.804, religion in the curriculum, the purpose of this revision, the policy was updated to reflect the enactment of a new law requiring districts to adopt a policy regarding the appropriate inclusion of religion in local curriculum and instructional materials. The new law also requires districts to allow public comment before the adoption on this policy. So that is the policy, and I might, let me quickly probably read that policy.
yes, please.
Educational content which consists of religious themes shall be presented in a factual, objective, and respectful manner in accordance with the following guidelines. 1, religious themes may be part of the curriculum for school-sponsored activities and programs provided in an essential to the learning experience in the various fields of study and is presented objectively. Number 2, the inclusion of religion shall be for educational purposes only. Number 3, the emphasis on religious themes should be only as extensive as necessary for a balanced and comprehensive study of the curriculum. Such studies shall never be used to proselytize, establish, foster, or demean any particular religion, religious tenets, or beliefs. And number 4, student-initiated expressions to questions or assignments which reflect their beliefs or non-beliefs about a religious theme shall be accommodated. So I think you're ready for the public expression of time on that policy.
We do. We'll make, the board is making time for public comment. If there's anyone that would like to come forward, we will make available 3 minutes. We would ask you to state your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anybody that would want to do that tonight? The crowd is diminished somewhat, so I think we're able to discern that there's no one to speak. Mr. Odom, if you'd like to read the recommendations again for
Okay.
this particular policy.
Okay, I think we've already waived all of them on second reading, would be my understanding for that. The second motion then would be recommend approval, a motion to improve policy 4.804 as recommended by the policy committee.
With the recommendation?
Moved.
Okay. Ms. Moore? And Mr. Estes. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Barnes, anything insurance-wise? Next Thursday. Chairman Hodge, anything to share from Legislative Network? And Mr. Holliday, you have the floor again.
Well, only that you and I will be in D.C. for meetings on Tuesday of this coming week.
And it's planned that we should be able to see both senators and congressional delegation.
And it is a coordinated effort across the state. We are part of a larger delegation of, I think, 9. I think there are about 9 school board members that are going up. So that'll be it.
I did not count heads yet. I will tomorrow. Okay, general discussion by board members. Does anyone have anything? Mr. Odom?
I did forward to you today, while we were meeting at the policy committee last night, the state sent out some additional guidance with the physical activity, and where they'd been telling us all along that you couldn't count any of the PE time, they came out, this document said can, and it was in bold, which tells you that they wanted emphasis on that because of what had been said before. So I know Mr. Zago has committees of principals and people that are working on this, both at the high school level. Talked to the leader, Mr. Spurlock, of the high school group today. They're planning to do some meeting and discussing this. Our elementary, middle are meeting to implement this policy for next year.
Anybody else?
Mr. Sandvig mentioned in our work session that on June 13th, that's Monday at 6:30 p.m., he has a meeting here in the boardroom that will pertain to booster club organizations and some discussion about those needs.
Thank you. And there is a public comment for budget, and that is on Tuesday again. And we had a budget meeting scheduled for okay, and really, there's really no need for that, board members, unless you can think of one. So with, if we're all in agreement, we will cancel that meeting as of tonight. A lot of head nodding, so we're good to go on that. Mr. Estes, I was very pleased to find that there's someone that you have mentored that has done so well, and congratulations for that. Quite the compliment. I would like to do the same.
It's 3 courses he took.
3? I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Much the same as Mr. Jordan mentored me when I was in junior high. So,
You're leaving me a real opening here, but I'll pass.
thank you, sir. All right, good meeting tonight. We've covered a lot. Again, we're open for discussion if there's anything anyone wants to bring before the board. Hearing nothing, we're back together the next time, Ms. Joyce? 22nd. Okay. Okay. All righty. Everyone have a safe trip to your homes. We stand adjourned.